Before we get into today's video, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel over the last couple of weeks and months. We have reached 29,000 subscribers, but we're not slowing down. We are marching to our goal of 30K. So make sure to subscribe for free Falcons YouTube content. The NFL trade deadline is next Tuesday, November 5th. Another big day for another big reason as well. But I am going to peer pressure the shit out of the Falcons to make a trade. I mean, this is laughable. I'm seeing Josh Uche get traded from the Patriots to the Chiefs for a future 6th-round draft pick. This is the asking price? And the Falcons are not partaking? This is honestly flat out embarrassing. The only thing that's saving the Falcons from being more embarrassed by not adding to their pass rush is, well, they're 5-3 and they have just won another game against the Buccaneers, so they are kind of in a good spot to win the division. So, of course, it's all roses and smiles right now. But yeah, I'm going to be a little bit critical and a little bit harsh because I believe this team has the talent and has the roster and coaching to win playoff games. Not just make the playoffs. If you guys want to make the playoffs, cool. Every 4 or 5 years, every team will probably make the playoffs and lose in the first round. But if you want to win playoff games and you want to play all the way into late January, early February, the Falcons' pass rush, specifically the pass rush, must improve. And that has to happen via the NFL trade deadline. So, Terry, you're telling me a future 6th-round draft pick for Josh Uche is too much? Even if you don't think he is going to come in here and dramatically turn things around, if it's just a future 6, isn't it worth the shot, even if it's not a great probability? Even if you don't think the success rate of that happening in Atlanta is high, why not at least take a shot at it, right? I can understand a little bit where Fontenot comes from about giving up 2025 picks, given that he only has 4 to work with. He lost a 3rd for Matthew Judon, which that was his pass rusher trade in some ways, but here we are in the middle of the season, and you clearly need more help at that position. But he also lost a 5th for, talking to Kirk Cousins a little bit too early, allegedly. So here we are with 4 picks going into the next draft. Doesn't give Terry a whole lot to work with, and I understand that. But at the same time, you are 5-3. You've got an offense that has put up 30 points 3 times this season. Anyone want to guess how many times the Falcons put up 30 or more points in the last 2 years combined? 2. And they've done it 3 times before Halloween. So, when it comes to this Falcons team and its potential, it's sky high, especially with the way the NFC is shaping out right now. Team to be, obviously, the Lions with the way they played. But after that, the Lions are going to have some vulnerabilities with no longer having Aiden Hutchinson. Give up one of your 6th-round draft picks, Terry. I mean, you got 2 in the 6th round right now. And you got a 7th from the Chargers that could become a 6th-round draft pick if Taylor Heinicke plays some more football for the Chargers. So, there is plenty of draft capital in the future to sell to maximize the 2024 roster for the Falcons. Now, I have spoken about trading for a pass rusher for obviously a long time on this channel, but if you go back in time with me, a few weeks ago, I talked about how the Falcons needed to go out and get a pass rusher. So let's roll the clip from what I said on October 8th. I am willing to give this Falcons defense 2 more weeks. That is my offer for the Atlanta Falcons. I am playing my own version of GM here. I am basically like a pro bono GM helping out the Falcons, even though they did not hire me. But I am willing to give this defense 2 more weeks to figure it out. It's been 20 days. I gave them a whole extra week just because I like them, and they're still dead last in sacks. They're not only dead last, they are really in their own tier as well. I mean, they have 3 less than the Dolphins, who have already had their bye, by the way. Oh, and yeah, the Panthers only have 3 more, the worst team in football. I mean, here we are 2 weeks after I gave them an ultimatum to either go get some help or we are marching on Flowery Branch, and they are still dead last in sacks. They are 26th in pressures. They are 29th in pressure percentage. This is not a legitimate playoff defense. The secondary can only do so much. We have seen that even when Jesse Bates plays like the best safety in football, which he is, he can't single-handedly stop the other team from scoring. Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers offense put up 24 points without Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. What do you think is going to happen when they get to the playoffs and they play an offense that's healthy and is firing on all cylinders and is one of the best in the NFC? I mean, if Baker and Kate Otten and 3 running backs can put up 24 points, I'm terrified to see what Jared Goff might do. Seriously, terrified. So please go get a pass rusher. I don't know how much more evidence Fontenot needs. Now, Terry, I'm sure you're still watching. I have 5 pass rushers. I would like to see you go out and get at least one of them. But before we look at those 5 guys, I do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor today, which is Game Time. Game Time is an awesome feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. So if you want to go catch the Falcons-Cowboys game from Atlanta this Sunday, visit Game Time right now because they are giving the Dirty Birds $20 off their first purchase after you download the Game Time app and use code CHATSPORTS. I look at it as Game Time is just going to pick up the bill for some of your parking or your first or second concession run. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. So here are 5 trade targets at the pass rusher position that I think have a realistic shot of being attainable. 2 players from the Browns, although they just won against the Ravens, so maybe they feel like their window isn't completely shut, although at 2-6, I would say otherwise. Then you got Baron Browning from the Broncos, Emmanuel Ogbah from the Dolphins, and Jadeveon Clowney from the division rival Carolina Panthers. 3 guys I would focus in on more of having a better chance of getting: Za'Darius Smith, Baron Browning, and Clowney. Now, I know division trades are not common, but the Panthers aren't going anywhere this year. I don't think they're sorely going to miss Clowney. He's also not some franchise icon, so I don't think it's really that deep where the Falcons and Panthers can't orchestrate a 2026 6th-round draft pick swap. But of these 3 guys, 2 I would look at even closer. Let's start with the Broncos outside linebacker, Baron Browning. Now, he is an outside linebacker. He plays in a 3-4 defense, so schematically it wouldn't be that tough of a change from him going from Vance Joseph in Denver down to Jimmy Lake in Atlanta. Now, this year, 0 sacks, 4 games. He's missed half the season due to foot injuries. However, he's also being somewhat phased out of their defense. What happened with Browning is he was playing well. He was starting to open up the year. Then he suffers a foot injury. And when he comes back, he discovers his starting job really isn't there anymore because the guy who replaced him, Nick Bonito, a former 2nd-round pick, he put up 6 sacks in 6 straight games. So they obviously stuck with the hot hand. And as a result, Browning on a good 5-3 Broncos team might be available for trade because there's not really a spot for him anymore on this defense in a large capacity. So a team like Atlanta could get him for relatively cheap since he's not really a part of their defense anymore. Another guy to watch for, Za'Darius Smith from the Cleveland Browns. Ian Rapoport over the weekend put out what he's hearing on the NFL trade rumor sphere, and he said several teams have inquired about the veteran. He's also super cheap for this year, just a $1.2 million base salary. We're halfway through the season now, so half of that has already been paid out to Smith, and he doesn't have very much guaranteed money next year because he signed a 2-year, $23 million contract, but it was very front-loaded. So if the Falcons wanted to move on from Smith after this year, it really wouldn't be too difficult. But in terms of actual production for this season, he is obviously the hands-down leader in the clubhouse. 5 sacks in 8 games, 22 tackles. So he's going to cost you a little bit more than a Baron Browning. But, I mean, if we go back to what Baron Browning was able to do the last couple of seasons, I know this year it hasn't been all sunshine and roses, but if we look at Baron Browning's stats from before this year, you'll see that Browning had some good seasons, but unfortunately has just been missing time. 4.5 sacks, 5 sacks, and I know those aren't crazy numbers, but if you prorate it out to a full season, you can see the potential with Browning. Although at this point, the Falcons likely aren't trying to find long-term potential. They are looking for immediate assistance and help. So that leads me to this. Short term, if you're looking for the best bang for your buck for the next 8+ weeks, that's Za'Darius Smith. He's got 5 sacks in 8 games. You're not going to find anything better than that at this point. Long term, Baron Browning. He is 6-7 years younger than Smith. So if you're looking for a guy that you could potentially see getting another contract from Atlanta and maybe really developing him and getting him into a spot where he can be a long-term starter for you, I could see Browning having that role because he has been a starter for the Broncos. He transitioned from being an inside linebacker to an outside linebacker. He's gotten better as the years have gone on. He's just unfortunately been somewhat unavailable. And don't get me wrong, the best ability is availability. But if you're looking for, hey, who's someone that's not going to cost us that much, that has some high ceiling potential to them, that's Browning. Who's someone that we can get right now and get production from immediately? That's Za'Darius Smith, but he's also going to cost you a little bit more. So it is likely one of those you get what you pay for scenarios. So let me ask you guys this question. Would you trade one of the 4 picks the Falcons have in the upcoming draft for an edge rusher? Give me a yes or give me a no. This is not a simple question to answer. And I know that I have really beaten down on the drum of go out and trade for a pass rusher. And I get that it's not an easy job for Terry Fontenot. But like I said earlier, this team is too talented to let their season go down the drain because their leading edge rusher, sorry, not the leading edge rusher, their leading player in pressures on defense is Caden Ellis, who plays inside linebacker. That's not his job. He is an overachiever, but his job at its core is not to pressure the quarterback. There are other guys on the defense that get paid solely to do that. And Caden Ellis is outperforming those players at their job. So if you could go get Za'Darius Smith for one of your 4 picks this year, maybe kind of work out a pick swap where you give them a 4th and they give you a 7th, so you still have 4 picks going into the draft, I would do it. All right, that's going to do it for us on today's episode. I meant to mention this earlier, and I'm sorry, I kind of forgot. I got caught up in the entire trade saga. But I'm sorry we did not have a watch party this week or last week. The way it works at Chat Sports is we only have so many studios, although we are expanding, so that's going to be very exciting. And unfortunately for Falcons fans, the studios go to the largest subscriber base here at Chat Sports. Chat Sports is a company with multiple different NFL YouTube channels, if you don't know. This is not my own personal YouTube channel. And so the larger the subscriber base, the studio space you get. So unfortunately, that's just not been in the Falcons Today favor the last few weeks. But don't worry, we will have more watch parties down the line in the future of this season when the schedule kind of shakes out well for Atlanta and not everyone is playing at the same time and priority goes to the larger subscribers. I don't make the rules. I'm really sorry about it. It's just the way it works. I'm just a foot soldier in the YouTube world.